Newsy news. Newsy news. Newsy news. Newsy news. Good morning, everyone. My name is Onepeg, and in today's video, we're going to talk about a whole lot more meta shift that has happened since the last couple of days, where we posted 2 other videos talking about meta shift that had happened. For those of you that are trying to get a quick TLDR, there was some ammo moved from lower tier traders to higher tier ones. Some ammo in the game, the higher pen ammo, the meta rounds that people would run at the end of the game, most of those have been removed from traders completely. We also have some new crafts that got added overnight last night, and we also have some massive changes to base item values for ammo, as well as ammo that's spawning inside of guns, which also changes the zeroing defaults for all of those guns. For those of you that want the details, we'll get into it now. Most all of this information is coming from my boy Logical Solutions over at Tarkov-changes.com, so if you're looking for information on that stuff and you don't really want to watch one of my videos, you can just check out his site or check out his Twitter. First, let's talk about Ragman. The Gazelle, as you can see here, is listed for barter only. It used to be after finishing the task supervisor, you were able to buy one for cash. That is no longer the case. The ability to buy this for cash has been completely removed, which means aside from killing a scav and getting lucky with one on, the only way to obtain one reliably is to do this barter trade. For those of you interested in base item changes, I'm just going to quickly scroll through this notepad document. The takeaways here is things like the signal pistol and flare cartridges had their base item values significantly reduced, while at the same time, most of the high armor penetrating ammunition that you would find in game had its base item value significantly increased. That means that sale prices to vendors would also be significantly higher than what they used to be, or at least between yesterday and today. But that also means that sale prices from the vendors are also going to be significantly higher than they used to be as well. Things like M62 and M80, which at one time were like a third of what they used to be, are significantly more money. And for those of you interested in what the sale prices to the vendors are for the ammo listed on that sheet, this is what they buy each one of the ammo types for now. Obviously, this is subject to change because BSG has been moving things around like crazy. For instance, M62, which at one time had been 52 USD this morning, is now back down to 14 USD for a purchase price. But hey, to make up for all of that, we have some new crafts. And finally, we have a craft for 9x21 BT, which uses 150 rounds of PGZH and gives us a use for the sledgehammer in the hideout, which we didn't have up until this time. And for those of you wondering, yes, you can now buy the sledgehammer off of the flea market. It's approximately 150k now. There were also modifications to crafting requirements and crafting durations. 7.6239 BP at one point in time had been 2 eagles and 2 kite gunpowders. It is now 3 apiece, but the crafting time has been reduced from 16 hours and 40 minutes to approximately 14 hours and 50 minutes. 9x19 AP at one point in time required 400 rounds of PST-GZH. That has been improved to 150 rounds of PST-GZH. And the 7-hour, 55-minute crafting timer has been significantly increased to nearly 16 hours. Flechette ammo was, instead of it being 1 kite gunpowder, is now 4 kite gunpowder, and instead of it being 120 rounds of flechette, it now only yields 60. Also, the craft that was at one point in time approximately 2 hours and 5 minutes has now been changed to 5 hours. A PS-12B craft was also added to the hideout the other day with a 20-hour craft time that has been reduced to 13 hours approximately. And finally, moving over to the lavatory, the water filter, that craft had its crafting timer reduced from approximately 10 hours down to 5. And 2 days ago, there are a couple of changes here that I also missed, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through these really quick. PS-12B, M80, and BTGZH 9x21 can no longer be sold on the flea. And for the rest of these guns all had their base ammos changed, this default ammo stat. So for each one of these, as I scroll through them, you can see that they changed, for instance, for the SKS from PS to HP, the 104 went from BP to PS, etc., etc. The biggest takeaways here are things like the 103 and the 104, if you were to find them in a box, would spawn with BP in the mag. They don't do that anymore. Things like the SAG AK that at one point in time spawned with 545 PS now get FMJ. Things like the Lone Star TX-15 that at one point in time spawned with 55A1, got changed to 855, and now spawns with FMJ instead. What this also means is that for each one of the guns listed on this list, the default ammo that it is zeroed for is also different than what it used to be. For the guns that had their default ammo modified, the bullet velocity shouldn't throw off the gun too much from what it was that you were used to. They're all within a handful of meters per second in terms of velocity of round that it was modified to. The exceptions are the OPSKS and the VPO 136 Vepr, which had their ammo types changed from PS to HP. In that case, it's about a 50 meter per second difference. So you might see a slight modification to the amount of zeroing that you have to do, but for the most part, it should still feel and shoot the same. And last but certainly not least, we have this little gem, the Schmidt & Bender PM2 1 to 8 by 24 30 millimeter rifle scope. At one point in time, this was something that you could buy from Jaeger, but unfortunately, you can no longer. Most people don't use the S&B 1 to 8. And I'm going to try and sway your opinion on that. The S&B 1 to 8 last wipe had a significant problem with the way that it worked for mouse sensitivity. It was plagued by a bug that had been plaguing other scopes in the past where the 1X wouldn't have the mouse sensitivity of a 1X, it would have the mouse sensitivity of an 8X. They fixed it for this patch. This has been made better. The Schmidt & Bender is my favorite scope in the game. It will probably be your favorite scope too. Right now, it's the cheapest scope out of all of the combo scopes that you can get that people love, like the Voodoo and the Vortex Razor. The Schmidt & Bender, in my opinion, is better than both of them. You should probably check it out before the price gets jacked up to a bajillion rubles. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. My name, again, is Onepeg. You can find me on my socials at OnePegMG on Twitter, at Onepeg on TikTok, where I stream simultaneously almost every single day at twitch.tv/Onepeg, starting around 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, if you would be so kind as to sub the channel here, I would be greatly appreciative. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.